Once you get to understand Nigerians, I think they are the best people on earth by a far. As you know nothing about media, you've been a drug dealer for nearly 20 years. So we run something called Nation Herald. Mm-hmm. And I know the banks were a bit nervous at that time.
Yeah.
Were not amused. But we launched Nation Herald. What was Nation Herald?
Welcome back. The conversation continues, and it is so exciting. This is a conversation between two village mates, the village girl and the village boy. I hope you're enjoying. If you are just joining us now, please go back to the previous episodes, and I can tell you, you are going to enjoy them. My name is Mary Wamae, and this is the Executive Table.
Different. Like I said, I worked for about 3 months in Pakistan, but that was an assignment. When I was in London. So other than that, I would say I've worked in Nairobi, in London, in Cyprus, Near East, that bit of Pakistan, and of course Lagos. Of all those places, my best posting was Lagos. Wow. By a mile, for a couple of reasons. One, I went there as a CEO, and a CEO is a big deal in Lagos, so you had all these facilities. It was considered a hardship posting, so you even have security. If you are going to the airport, you have this vehicle that does this, yes, because GSK is a significant company there. And but that is not the point why it was my best posting. Why it was my best posting is because of Nigerians. Once you get to understand Nigerians, I think they are the best people on earth by a far. And people have those different impressions about Nigeria. Just take time to understand them. First of all, I think the only place that Africa has been left, because all of us have been colonized, even mentally. The only place you find Africa is when you go to Lagos. You find Africa in the way they dress. You find Africa in the way they eat. You get Africa in the way they communicate. So I actually enjoyed interacting with them. And I made lots of good friends to this day. Plus, of course, the market is big. Nigeria is 200 million plus people. So within one geography, you have more people than East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. So you are able to do also a lot more. You do some initiatives and they spread and give you very good returns. Mm-hmm. So I much enjoyed Nigeria.
Wow.
Really enjoyed. It was a very good posting. It was very good. The only thing is, after 3 years, I was faced with the decision of, do I renew for another 3 years? Mm-hmm. And we had agreed with my wife then that we leave the kids here. So we had left the kids and they were boarding here. So we would come over for half term, for a week. They would come here on holiday and then go back. So we had said to do 3 years, and then we did not want to. We actually needed to come back to Kenya. But the business was good. Wow, the business was good. Amazing. I really enjoyed that. I would hope that people can visit Nigeria more and really get to understand the people, because Nigeria is Africa. Kenya is not Africa. Kenya is like the Nigerian would say, Kenya is Oibo land. Oibo is a Muzungu. Yeah. Kenya is an Oibo land. Because I'll give you an example. I'll go to the local club. One of them was called Metropolitan, the other is called Ikoyi. And the Nigerian would tell me, Linus, come and let's eat. Let me show you our Nigerian food. And they would bring something they call eba, egusi vegetables, this, and wash your hands and eat. Then when they visit here, I would take them to Muthaiga Country Club. Yes. because I also want to show off that we have very good clubs. I was a member of Monetizing Country Club then. Yeah. So I bring them. Then the Nigerian, and that is why we don't like those guys. He calls the waiter and says, "Me, I want Kenya food."
Where is Kenya food?
and then the guy in Monetizing Country Club is, "Are you talking about? Here we don't even serve ugari.
We don't have that here."
Then I'm looking at it and say, who is matter here?
Wow.
Between me and, until now you have to go and look for, what is
it?
Kosewe. You go to Kosewe and say, now you eat as much as you want. But you see, you have to leave where you are to go and look for Kenya food. Yeah. You don't do that in Lagos. I don't care whether you're in Hilton or in Sheraton,
That's all this.
70% of the food in any buffet is Nigerian. Because that's what they eat and they're proud of it.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed working.
Wow, great.
Yes.
Now, let's shift to the media. How did that happen after
Yeah.
the pharmaceuticals?
The media, like I said, it happened on my way back in Congo Forest, 30,000 feet. I was coming to do Tropical, which I was in the middle of acquiring. Then I got the call. The CEO then was retiring, and I was asked whether I would want to do. We negotiated, and I thought, not a bad idea. Then I was asking myself again that question. Linus, you know nothing about media. You've been a drug dealer for nearly 20 years. And then a thought crossed me that even when I was doing drugs, I never did drugs because I was a pharmacist. I said, bring it on. So I accepted the job. And I guess the rest is history. I ended up doing 10 years. I much enjoyed the 10 years. I think we made a dent, we made some difference in Nation Media Group. I think we moved our profit that time from, I think the previous year was 900 million. By the 10th year we had 4 billion. I think that's the last profit that we made. And then I took my exit. And now went to try and see whether I can make money on my own.
Yeah, but when you are there, you're credited for also championing the strategy to move from the traditional media to digital. Can you just tell us something about that, what you did, because that's one of your achievements there?
Well, I'm not sure I would say it's one of my achievements. In fact, I think one of the things, because the digital migration happened during our time, I think we were totally misunderstood because everybody thought this analog media doesn't want to move to digital. But I think we probably did not communicate properly, because what we were fighting at that time is the fact that the digital signal was going to be given to one company called Star Times. And all the other media have invested in Yeri Hill, in Watamu, in all those places, a lot of infrastructure which you are going to lose, or no, they were not going to take that over. So anyway, that was it. But in terms of digital, one of the things that when you are in an analog situation, and that's what we realize, is that you have what I call one to many.
Yeah.
One to many means you have Daily Nation, I decide what I'm put, and I give it to many people to read. Now that changes with digital, because it becomes many to many. Yeah. Meaning that if I jump here and die, by the time Nation comes here, Mary has already taken the video, and she has uploaded it, and Nation will come here, and by the time you're uploading it, it's a bit of stale news. So we raised two things. One, that Nation was no longer, or rather the analog media was no longer about breaking news. Yeah. They were about what we call day two journalism. Day two journalism is the one that asked, why did Linus jump? Because people want to know that. So we needed to figure out how to shift from Linus has jumped, because that's
already broken by somebody else.
Yes, to why did he jump? That is when you require the brain to analyze, to investigate. That is one. But the biggest challenge was about making money. Because when you are many to many, and when you have all these citizen journalists, then how do I make a compelling story or case that I can charge for? And that is why we did something that I think was way ahead of its time, because we decided, for instance, that time, the biggest consumers of the digital space were actually abroad. We had, for instance, 1 million readers in the US for Daily Nation online. And those guys were not benefiting us. We were working hard at ensuring that the content comes on time, but we are not getting anything. So what did we do? We said, let's try an experiment. What are the biggest needs? Because again, business starts with a need. What is the need? The biggest need for these guys, they live in the US or Europe. They figure out that they go to read the paper very regularly, every morning or whatever. And then they quickly realize, oh, shucks, I was supposed to send money home. and then you go to chat the paper, go to Western Union, go to whoever, and then you make a queue somewhere those days and send the money. We decided we want to trade with those guys. So we run something called Nation Hera. And I know the banks were a bit nervous at that time.
Yeah.
Were not amused. But we launched Nation Hera. What was Nation Hera? It was actually saying, if you have a card, if we give a card here, you can click a button in Nation as you read the Kenya news. And it opens a window where you can put in your own card details and send to this other card that you have given to your mother or your brother. So the money comes directly there, and it's a form of debit card. So you can go and withdraw money in almost any ATM.
Yeah.
And actually it picked quite well, but we ended up with a problem with, because we were partnering with DTB, and DTB that time had Habib Bank had an issue with the US authorities. I think they ended up shutting down. Anyway, through that whole thing, and that is also when we had maneno sensitivities about 9/11, and now that bank was having a bit of a problem, so we ended up not doing as well as we could. But yes, digital was something else.
It was a good business idea, but fell into
and
regulation
probably
issues.
a bit ahead of its time. I hope we can still
maybe.
do that, because the biggest challenge of news today is not news, because news is how to make money within that environment. And I hope the media and people are still looking for newer and newer ways and non-traditional ways of making money, because that's the biggest challenge for media companies today. But that's what we did as an attempt to answer that question.
I want to ask you,
Me.
how as a leader of media group, how did you navigate the conflict between independence of the media and, of course, the making of revenues, and, of course, the authorities and all that? And because I think that is always, sometimes I see from my own observation as a challenge that probably as a leader you have to day-to-day face.